Well, howdy. Let's talk about tools, specifically two tools that get mixed up more often than socks in a laundry basket. I'm talking about the jigsaw and the router. They both make a satisfying buzzing sound, they both have a handle you grip like you mean it, and they both can make a glorious mess of sawdust, which is the confetti of honest work. But that's about where the similarities end, my friend. Using one for the other's job is like trying to use a canoe paddle to flip a pancake. You might get it done, but it's going to be messy, and nobody's going to be impressed with the result. The confusion is understandable, especially when you're just starting to fill your workshop with things that make noise and cut wood. Both tools are held in your hands and guided across a piece of lumber. Both require a steady hand and a bit of respect for the spinning or reciprocating pointy bit. It's easy to look at them and think, well, they both cut things, don't they? Yes, in the same way, a hatchet and a scalpel both cut things. One is for brute force and broad strokes, the other is for precision and artistry. Knowing the difference will save you a lot of firewood that was supposed to be a picture frame. Think of it like this: a jigsaw is your trusty pickup truck. It's versatile, it's rugged, and it's meant to haul stuff and get you from point A to point B, even if the road is a little curvy. It's not always the prettiest ride, but it's reliable for the big, rough work. A router, on the other hand, is like a fine-tipped calligraphy pen. It's all about the details, the flourishes, and the elegant finishing touches. You wouldn't write a wedding invitation with a big, fat permanent marker, and you wouldn't use a calligraphy pen to paint a barn door. Each tool has its purpose, its own noble calling in the grand theater of woodworking. So, let's clear the sawdust from the air. We're going to take a good long look at each of these magnificent machines. We'll talk about what they love to do and what they hate to do. We'll discuss when to reach for the jigsaw to rough out a shape, and when to grab the router to make that shape look like it was made by a true craftsperson. By the time we're done, you'll be able to walk into your workshop, look at a piece of wood, and know exactly which tool is the right partner for the dance. It's about working smarter, not harder, and respecting the wood by using the proper instrument. Let's start with the jigsaw. This tool is a champion of freedom. Its whole reason for being is to cut curves. If you need to cut out the shape of a squirrel, a state, or a heart in a piece of plywood, the jigsaw is your best friend. It has a small, straight blade that moves up and down at a terrific speed. Because the blade is so narrow, you can turn the tool as you cut, following just about any winding line you can draw. It's the tool that lets you break free from the tyranny of the straight line. It's perfect for rough shapes and getting things cut down to a manageable size. The jigsaw is also the king of the quick and dirty job. Need to cut a hole in the back of a cabinet for some cables? Jigsaw. Need to lop off the end of a 2x4 and you don't want to drag out the big miter saw? Jigsaw. It's a versatile beast. You can get blades for cutting wood, metal, and even plastic. It's not always going to give you the cleanest, smoothest edge right out of the gate. Think of the cut it makes as a starting point. It's the rough draft, not the final polished essay. The edges will likely be a little fuzzy and require some sanding to look presentable. This tool is a fantastic place for a beginner to start. It's relatively safe as far as power tools go. The blade is right there in front of you, and it's not as intimidating as a big spinning circular saw blade. It's a tool that invites you to experiment and play. Making a sign for your kid's lemonade stand with big loopy letters? The jigsaw will do that with a smile. Cutting out the pieces for a birdhouse? The jigsaw is your workhorse. It's about getting the basic shape right, quickly, and without a whole lot of fuss. It's the first step in many, many projects. So when you think jigsaw, I want you to think shapes. Think curves, circles, and any kind of free-form design. Think of it as the tool you use to block out the basic form of your project. Imagine you're a sculptor with a big block of marble. The jigsaw is your hammer and chisel, used to knock away the big, unnecessary chunks. And it gets you close to the final shape, but it leaves the fine-tuning and the beautiful, smooth surfaces for another tool to handle. It's a tool of action, not of perfection. Now, let's talk about the router. If the jigsaw is the pickup truck, the router is the artist's brush. This tool is not really for cutting things in half. Its main purpose is shaping and finishing. A router spins a tiny sharp blade, called a bit, at an incredible speed. We're talking upwards of 20,000 revolutions per minute. Instead of cutting through wood, it carves it away with precision. Its main job is to work on the edges of a piece of wood that has already been cut to size, often by its good friend, the jigsaw. It's the tool you use to add that professional, finished look. Think about the edge of a nice wooden tabletop or a picture frame. It's probably not a sharp 90-degree angle. It might be rounded, beveled, or have some kind of decorative, swooping profile. That's the work of a router. By changing the bit, you can create an almost endless variety of edge profiles. You can make a simple roundover to soften an edge and make it feel nice to the touch, or you can use a complex bit to create an ornate, classical-looking edge for a mantelpiece. It's all about adding style and elegance. The router is the difference between a box and a treasure chest. But the router is more than just a pretty face. It's also a master of joinery. It can be used to cut perfect grooves or dados for shelves to fit into. It can create rabbets, which are L-shaped grooves on the edge of a board, perfect for setting in the back panel of a cabinet. With the right guide, or jig, a router can cut mortises and tenons, which are classic woodworking joints that are incredibly strong. It's a tool of incredible precision. When you need two pieces of wood to fit together perfectly, you often reach for the router to make it happen. So, when you think router, I want you to think details. Think smooth, finished edges. Think decorative profiles. Think strong, precise joints. This is not the tool you grab to cut a board in two. This is the tool you grab after the board has been cut. It's for the final touches that elevate your work from homemade to handcrafted. It takes a steady hand and a bit of practice, but mastering the router is a huge step forward in your woodworking journey. It's the tool that adds the finesse, the polish, and the signature of a true artisan to your work. Here's where folks get into trouble. They get a new tool, and they want it to do everything. This is a recipe for frustration and, frankly, butchered wood. Trying to use a jigsaw to create a smooth, decorative edge is a fool's errand. You might be able to wobble your way along the edge of a board, but the result will be a wavy, chewed-up mess. The up and down action of the jigsaw blade is just not designed for that kind of delicate shaving work. It will leave a rough surface that no amount of sanding will ever make look like a clean, routed edge. You're asking the pickup truck to perform ballet. Conversely, trying to cut out a complex shape from the middle of a large sheet of plywood with a router is just plain wrong. A router is designed to follow an edge or a guide. Plunging it into the center of a board and trying to steer it along a curved line is like trying to draw a circle with a ruler. It's clumsy, it's difficult to control, and it's dangerous. The router bit can catch in the wood and kick the tool right back at you. It's a powerful machine that demands to be used as intended. You're asking the calligraphy pen to do the work of an axe. Let me give you a clear example. Imagine you want to make a round cutting board. You grab your jigsaw first. You draw a circle on your piece of maple and carefully cut just outside the line with the jigsaw. The cut will be a little rough and the circle won't be perfect. That's okay, that's the jigsaw's job. Now, you've got a rough circle. To make it perfect, you would then use a router. You could create a simple jig or template and use a flush trim bit on the router to follow that template, creating a mathematically perfect circle with a beautifully smooth edge. This is the harmony of the workshop. The jigsaw does the rough work and the router does the fine work. Let's say you're building a bookshelf. You'd use a saw, maybe a jigsaw for a quick crosscut, to cut your boards to length. Then, you'd bring in the router. You'd use it with a straight bit and a guide to cut the dados, the grooves in the side pieces, where the shelves will sit. Then, you might switch to a decorative bit to put a nice edge on the front of each shelf. The jigsaw and router don't compete, they collaborate. They are a team, each playing to its strengths. So, you're standing in the tool aisle with a fistful of hard-earned cash. Which one do you bring home? The jigsaw or the router? The answer depends entirely on what you want to build. There is no single right answer, only the right answer for you, right now. Let's talk about cost and value. Generally speaking, a decent entry-level jigsaw is going to be less expensive than a decent entry-level router. Both are an investment, but the jigsaw has a lower barrier to entry. For a beginner, it's also arguably easier to use and a bit more forgiving. If your first projects involve making things with fun shapes, like lawn decorations, kids' toys, or freeform signs, then the jigsaw is your clear winner. Buy the jigsaw first. It's the tool that will let you immediately start cutting out the shapes you have in your head. It's a tool of great creative freedom. You can do a whole lot of wonderful work with just a jigsaw and a sander. The edges might be simple and the joints might be held together with screws instead of fancy dados, but you will be building things, and that's what matters most. However, if your ambition is to build furniture, cabinets, or anything that requires strong joints and a polished, professional look, you might consider starting with the router, or at the very least, know that you will need one very soon. The router is the key to making things that don't just look good, but are also built to last. It allows for a level of precision and finish that a jigsaw can never provide. If you're more interested in the fine craft of joinery and finishing than you are in cutting out squirrel shapes, the router is where you should focus your attention and your budget. Ultimately, if you stick with woodworking, you will own both. It's not a matter of if, but when. They are two of the most fundamental and versatile handheld power tools you can have. My advice: start with the tool that will help you complete the project that is currently burning a hole in your imagination. If that's a curvy bookshelf, get the jigsaw. If it's a small side table with smooth rounded edges, get the router. The most important thing is to get a tool, get some wood and start making sawdust. The rest you'll figure out along the way.